Can I start talking?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ella. I just graduated from a DPS high school. I just wanted, thank you. I just wanted to address something really quickly. A man who was over here said something, and he said, why are you out here today instead of reporting it to the police? And so, because I know people would probably ask for my source, this is from a educational study from the University of Massachusetts. Out of rape and sexual assault allegations from women and girls, only 18% see arrests. And, when you report a rape, thank you, or an assault, that is another traumatic experience that you have to relive. And this today isn't even about justice reform. This is about DPS and their issues. This is about the fact that DPS has someone on the board who has hundreds of allegations against them, and instead of protecting their students and making sure that they feel comfortable and safe, they are protecting someone else. This is about the fact that students don't feel comfortable going to guidance counselors or administrators in their school. I have plenty of friends who have tried to report things and been dismissed or not felt like they had even a place to talk to someone about that. This is about the fact that DPS doesn't have comprehensive sex education, and I was never offered sex ed class by DPS all 12 years that I went there. And I know when parents hear sex education, a lot of times they think that we're poisoning our children, but it's not just about sex and contraceptives. It's about teaching kids about anatomy and about consent and teaching kids what sexual assault even is. Because I know plenty of people who were sexually assaulted and didn't know that what happened to them was wrong. And today is about addressing the issues that DPS has and figuring out how they need to change their systems in order to make schools more safe for children who are continuing to go there in the future years.
Hello, my name is Valerie. I also just graduated from a DPS high school, so very fun. Just building off of that and my personal experience, when you do go to the police, because I reported my sexual assault a couple years ago, you wait months and months and months and months and months to hear back from the detective, and most times your case is dropped, and you just have to live through the trauma of your case being dropped and waiting to see if anything happens to your perpetrator. And for that to, that perpetrator to be a DPS official, that is so much more terrifying than it being another student. And, I can't imagine what these people are going through right now. And so for, DPS not to make these statements and not to come out and not to help these students is, saying a lot about how much they care about their students in their schools. And, my little sister is moving up, she's going into middle school, and that's when these things start happening. And it's terrifying for me to think about her having to go through something like this and not being seen or heard or helped out through this process. So.
Thank you. No, you guys are great. So I'm so glad that I got some more students here to start speaking. And, we are going to have some more students show up, but just like kids fashion, they're late, but I just want to reiterate that and just say that, a lot of people always ask, why don't you go to the police? Why don't you go to the police? And I would like you guys to know that there is something called a rape kit, and it is absolutely traumatic. It is honestly probably about as worse as the original assault that happened against you, and it's terrifying. And there's a huge process whenever you go to the police. You have to write out a description of what happened to you, and you have to restate that story and restate that story and restate that story to 1,000,000 people. And if you say one thing wrong, you're a liar and you're fake and you're not telling the truth and you're just trying to ruin a man's reputation. And it's like everybody just pits it against the victims and never against the people that are being accused. And that's what we're seeing here too, is that instead of trying to encourage the victims to come forward and trying to show them that we support them and that we care about them and we just want them to feel safe and to know that we believe them, first of all, and that we care about them, we just are met with silence. And we just are met with pretty much nothing, and it's frustrating. It's like, geez, you would think by now that we would get some kind of thing going on, or you would think that Tay would be smart enough to try and actually resign versus just stepping down for a little while until school comes back. how are you going to work on a school board with children when you have almost 70 allegations against you? I mean, how is that going to work? How are we going to feel safe? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. And, you know, like you said, I have a little cousin that goes to high school too. And, you know, I don't ever want to think about my family, my friends, my peers being the next victim, but it's something that as a student I have to think about now because it's too common at this point. And I think that honestly everybody has to think about it now, and you have to always worry, and you have to think about how you would be able to help if your child or if your student ever went through this. And it just is, it's crappy that us as students have to worry about our peers because this is becoming so common, and also because whenever it does become common and we try to do something about it, we're, again, just met with silence over and over and over again. And it's just like a never-ending cycle of, why didn't you report? Well, I didn't get anything back from the reporter. Well, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. And it's just it's too much of a process that we have to go through just to feel like we want to feel like somebody cares about what we're trying to say, like somebody believes us, and like somebody doesn't just see us as some kid trying to tell a story because we're bored or we're not mature enough or whatever people try and say, you know. It's more just about the fact that if a kid tells you that they're not feeling safe and they're not feeling comfortable, you should believe them. And you shouldn't sit there and try and defend the people that are being accused, and you shouldn't try and make it about why are they coming up with lies? Let's make it about politics. Let's make it about everything else. You should really just try and listen to the person who's saying that this happened to them, because that's the person that had to go through this, and that's the person that should be at the center of it all and should be catered after and should be listened to. And it's like at this point, at this day and age, a lot of people feel like they won't be listened to if they do speak out, and if they do try to do something about it, they're almost 99% sure that they won't get a response, they won't get a case, they won't get to get their abuser or their assaulter in jail. Definitely not in jail. I mean, that's impossible. Trying to get your abuser in prison after being literally raped is near impossible in this country. You literally can't. It is so rare that somebody actually goes to prison after raping someone. And that's why so many people are scared, number one, to go through it, but number two, to go through it and try and speak out and try and get justice for not only yourself, but for the other people that have been affected by that same person. Because, you know, if you have it in you to sexually assault somebody, you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it again, and you're going to keep doing it until somebody stops you. It's a sickness, you know? It's something that is just, the kind of person that does that should not be around children, shouldn't be around other people. They have something wrong with them, and especially to do it to kids, it's like double wrong, you know? And, you know, it's hot, and I know we're getting tired of being out here, but I just want for the board to know that we just want to feel safe. And that I know I keep saying that and keep saying that, but I'm saying that because I want it to get stuck into their heads, that we just want to feel safe. If anybody else wants to speak, okay. Sorry. No worries.
No, you're right. No, just going off of that, we already didn't feel safe. Like, none of us, I go into school feeling safe. We have these talks with our parents that are like, you know, you might get assaulted, or with your friends, you know, this happened to somebody you know. And so you already go into high school so terrified of something happening to you, whether it's at a party or in your school bathroom. And then to hear about, you know, somebody who's on the board doing that, it makes us feel so unheard and so unsafe. And, you know, I'm going to tell a story. Sorry. So a couple years ago, when I was a sophomore, I was assaulted at my high school, and nothing happened. None of the reports went through. And the boy who assaulted me assaulted 17 other girls at my high school. And he goes to East now. He got away with it. He school hopped, went to 2 other high schools, did the same thing, and nothing ever happened to him. All those 17 girls, they all reported. There could have been more that I don't know about, but every single case was dropped by the courts. And so, you know, just building off of that, like going to police thing, it a lot of times just doesn't work. And so it's really difficult to hear, you know, about this happening.
Sorry. Yeah, parents. Yeah. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I know that, you know.
And I'm sorry, you guys are precious. I absolutely agree with you that sexual education is important. But for people like me, I wanted to hear from parents. I was docked by Desiree. You reached me out in the middle of the night telling me to wait till today because we're going to have students who could testify that they were victims of Tay. Where are they? No. You reached out to me at 12:30 at night telling me that today was going to be the day.
Can I say something really quick?
No, I want to hear. No.
It is so terrifying
I
for those
understand you.
girls.
Okay, anybody that knows me, believe me, I know what it's like. I broke in my silence issue against somebody and people didn't believe me. And I had people harassing me and threatening me and everything. But my point is, just so you guys know, she reached out to me in the middle of the night telling me that today was going to be the day for everybody that wanted to know the truth. And today was going to be the day and we were going to hear from parents and advocates. Sorry. Because here's the other thing is she also said that everybody was reached out to and everybody said they didn't help. So I know people that are Latino leaders in organizations. I know people that are sexual advocates. I know people in immigration. I know all kinds of people. And I reached out to a lot of them and said, did any of these kids reach out to you? And they all said no.
I'd be too scared to come. So what's the point of what are you getting at?
The point is like, where's everybody at? Like, I hear you say nobody cares, but the people that I talk to in person, they're saying like, nobody reached out to them. And if you're going around telling people in the middle of the night, texting us and messaging us that today was going to be the day we hear from the students and the parents.
These are students. Weren't you telling the story?
I like
it. She was 17.
No,
Obviously she knows not to contact you next time because you can't let kids talk.
No, I am, but what I'm saying.
No, you're not.
Let's hear from the students. Help us speak out because every time that we try to speak out about anything, we're met with not one, not two, but three different threats. I mean, not threats, but three different forms of intimidation and forms of, We're met with three different threats of people trying to make this protest about something else than what it's about. And whatever people told you about the protest, whatever you heard, I've been releasing information about this protest and about our list of demands for about a week now. And, you know, if I was a student who was assaulted by a Tay Anderson and I came and I heard about the protest and I heard that, you know, Denver Public Schools was going to be here, if I heard, you know, I wouldn't feel comfortable as a student who already was too scared to report, but much less to report to an entire crowd of people about what happened to me. I don't know, you know, where that came from, but,
yeah. No. And so
Also,
you guys know, my dad is actually from Mexico. There was a time that he was being threatened to be deported. So I know that story.
victims are protected for a reason,
No, I know that,
though.
but what I'm saying is, again, you guys, just so you know, Desiree is reaching out to a lot of us in the community. And she was telling us that today was going to be the day we hear from parents and advocates. And honestly, I wanted to see these organizations show up that deny these kids help.
They're kids. They can change their mind.
No, I'm not saying the kids. I'm saying like even the parents, a counselor, a teacher.
Wait, so what?
Wait,
So what is your question to us though about parents who didn't show up?
Why would we know other than parents? My question is, I guess mostly it's to Desiree.
So it doesn't
it's
need to
just
be a
that.
So why can't you just ask Desiree? She's in the middle of telling a story.
Because we're all here and you guys are talking.
If you guys don't want to be here, you can leave. They're trying to talk about
them
sexual
talk.
assault at DPS.
I'm really sorry we're not here to put a head on a spike, but it isn't about the person or the perpetrators. The story's about the students who have been failed by the system that we have entrusted our children to.
And the community.
Okay.
Let them talk.
Okay, so it's two different issues.
It sounds like it's about one issue for you. This is about the students and the failures of the system for us. It has been since I gave my fucking testimony that everyone decided to make about a person instead of the 62 demanding help.
But it should be about that one person too, because if he is
Not to me and not to them. They don't want his name. Do your own protest. Sorry.
And it definitely is about Tay right now, but especially in an ongoing investigation, students who have made reports can't come forward and just just speak out at protests, nor would they want to, especially right now with everything going on.
I would be terrified if I was a victim.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would be absolutely.
I just want to say I'm involved in an active police investigation. I am not allowed to speak to you anymore.
Why did you answer your phone in the middle of
Today
that?
isn't just about Tay Anderson, it's about issues with DPS as a whole. And he's very...
Just keep going. Just keep going, please. Sorry, just keep going. Keep on, babe. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, this is a very minuscule story, but it's just kind of something that I think shows what DPS does. So when everyone knows about dress codes in school. They tell us like it's to be professional or whatever. But you know, girls are told to cover their shoulders and that you can't wear shorts that are below your fingertips. And at my middle school, we were told that we weren't allowed to wear leggings, and everyone was outraged about it because they had no actual reason for this. And so at one point, every girl there, and even some boys, we all wore leggings that day, and they held a giant assembly, and they sat us down and they told us, you know, you're not allowed to wear these things because you're a distraction to the boys at the school. And they sat us down and they told us that we couldn't wear clothing because our bodies were distracting to other boys. And it's not that our education mattered, but theirs mattered more. And so I think that DPS just has a lot of issues. And of course, this was our vice principal and our principal at the school who told us this, that we were distractions. We had no idea who to go to. And students, when they're faced with obstacles like this, they don't have resources to go to. They don't know who to talk to. Girls are told that they're responsible for boys' educations, and boys are told that they're not responsible for their actions if it's what a girl is wearing. And so I think that DPS has just a lot of internal issues that they need to deal with as well. And of course, Tay Anderson is a huge issue right now, but this is about so much more than Tay Anderson. It is about DPS as an entire school district. So.
Exactly. Correct. You did great.
I don't know if you wanted to talk. I just gave it over. Would you like to take? I don't know what to talk about. I don't even know if you got to finish your thing.
I mean, you know, I don't really know what to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. I'm so glad that we got to hear from some of our students here. You know, it's really awesome to see that there are other kids that care about this issue too. And, you know, I know that we didn't have as much support out here as we thought that we would, because we did think that, you know, a lot more people RSVP'd than the ones that showed up. But, you know, we did receive some kinds of, a lot of different people saying that some scary guy was going to show up, and a bunch of people were really scared of that, and a bunch of people were contacting me saying that they were scared of that happening and that they didn't want to come to the protest because they were scared for their safety because of this man. And I'm sure most of you know exactly who I'm talking about. But you know, it's hard to try and come out here as students and try and speak, because it takes a lot of bravery and it takes a lot of courage to sit out here, regardless if it's one person or if it's 2,000. You know, it's still sitting up here in front of 1 million people and speaking your mind on this whole issue, and it's hard. But, you know, I just want to say that, you know, as a student, I just, this is just hard. You know, it's hard to put a lot of these words together because I'm really flustered right now, and I'm just upset at the fact that nothing has happened yet, and that even with knowledge of this protest and everything, I know the DPS did release a statement, but they didn't do what we wanted them to do, which was trying to get us new diplomas and trying to get Tay to resign from his position, which is really all that we asked for, you know. And like I said before, you know, it doesn't matter if it's allegations or not. It matters that kids want to feel safe when they're going to school every single day to get an education, and that should be the first and only thing that parents, students, teachers, board members, everybody thinks about is my kid gonna be safe when they go to school, or how can I make my school district that I work for safer for the kids? The number one way you could do that is by getting rid of somebody who has 70 sexual assault allegations against them. I mean, what are you gonna do? Just allow him to stay? I mean, is it just gonna kind of be like, oh, we'll just act like it never happened, and everyone just goes to school normally, and we just act like we never heard anything, you know? I mean, it's too late for that now, and it's been too late for months since the first ones came out, you know? And it's just like, now that we're seeing the fact that DPS has been allowing this, we're kind of starting to wonder how much more is there that we don't know about, you know? How many more kids have been a victim to other people at DPS that wasn't reported, that wasn't helped, that wasn't taught? How many more people do we not know about that are scared to speak up from their experiences at DPS and that are scared to talk about what really happened and take action? And, you know, you would think that there wouldn't be that many because there's just students, but you would be surprised. And in my generation, it's more than common for kids to be sexually assaulted. And I don't think that a lot of parents see that. I think they see it as, oh, it would never happen to my child. It would happen to every other kid, but not mine. And so they don't take the right precautions. They don't teach them about how they can avoid it. They don't teach them awareness because they just try and avoid it and try to ignore it and act like it's never going to happen. And then whenever we get to the point when it's too late, it's kind of just like, oh, what do I do now? You know, and that's where we're at now. It's like we're at the point where it's too late for the district to apologize. It's too late for Tay to apologize. It's too late for all that. We can't keep accepting these little tiny things and acting like we're putting a Band-Aid over this gaping hole that is the problem, you know? And the problem starts at the source, not at the, you don't start at the bottom of the problem and start chopping. You start at the top and get rid of it, you know? And the top problem here is the fact that the board has not done anything about this. And yes, there's an investigation. Yes, people know about it. Yes, people are talking about it, whatever. But at this point, as a school board, it is your job to get Tay Anderson to resign, and it is your job to make students feel safe in their own schools. And, I mean, that's really it.
Yes.
Alexa's about to be here, hopefully.
You know, I kind of wonder what this says to perpetrators who have already gotten away with sexual assault, and I wonder what it says to boys who already feel like they aren't responsible for their own actions. You know, seeing a board member, seeing somebody who is, you know, so high up on the scale, getting away with these things, it, you know, all of this tells them is that they can do whatever they want to all of these people in their school. And I wonder, you know, to my perpetrator, what this tells him, because he still goes to school, he still goes to East, and, you know, I wonder if him seeing Tay get away with these things tells him that he can continue to get away with these things, you know? Seeing adults do this is what kids learn from. A lot of kids learn from, you know, the actions of their higher-ups, of their teachers, of their board members. So seeing this board member get away with this continually, like way too many times, something that should have been caught after the first report, you know, seeing this happen tells all these boys, you know, that they can continue doing it. And that's terrifying to me as a student, as somebody who knows, you know, my friends are still students, to somebody whose little sister is a student in DPS. It's terrifying.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Well, you know, I think that she said it perfectly, you know? I mean, what does this say to all of the little boys who might think, oh, well, if I sexually assault someone, I could get away with it. A freaking board of education got away with it. I, as a student, can get away with it perfectly fine. No one's going to know because nobody's going to do anything. You know, I think that's a really good point, you know? And I think that it's an even better point to think about the people that are out here saying, well, what about his reputation? What about this? What about your kids? What about if it was your child going back to a DPS school in August, getting ready for their freshman year of high school, just to be met with somebody who, you know, might sexually assault them, just to be met with a board that isn't saying anything about this, that isn't doing anything about this, that allowed him to go to graduation after the allegations came out? I mean, are y'all hearing this? But he still went. He still went. And he still was there. And he still sat with the students and took a selfie with them. I mean, how inconsiderate of everybody. I mean, as a school board, I would feel embarrassed to know that after all of this came out, that this man somehow made it to a student's graduation and just made them even scareder and made them think even more that nothing's ever going to happen to him and that nothing's ever going to happen for them. Oh, I thought you, okay. Sorry, but you know, it's a never-ending story of all the things that we could get up here and say. And you know, we were supposed to have a couple more people come up here and speak.
Please.
Get Darcy.
I would love that. Thank you. You got it. Just anything. We're waiting on Alexa.
Oh, we're waiting on Alexa. Okay. Hey guys. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what to say here, but I guess there are a couple of things that I should say. As a conservative, but again, politics aren't relevant, but I do want to throw that out there because it speaks to something I'm about to say. When I was living in Denver, I was living at 8th and Corona. So my kids were going to go to the school that's right next door, Dora Moore, and I became involved in looking into some of these allegations a long time ago, way before any of this, you know, has been on the news. Not only was I uncomfortable with the way that Tay Anderson does politics, it made me feel like my voice didn't matter. It made me feel like basically no matter what I said, it just didn't matter. And so that's part of the reason why I decided to leave Denver. And I moved back to El Paso County. It was really expensive and it was really time consuming. But I knew in my heart that my kids deserved better than the behavior that I saw from Tay Anderson that was encouraged, if not completely allowed and encouraged by DPS. And I just, as a human being and as somebody that has a 5 and 6-year-old, I wasn't gonna deal with it. It doesn't matter what your politics are, but we're all human beings. And we can't be doxxed, we can't be tweeted about, we can't be made to feel like we're less than human because our opinions are different. And then moving along, the other thing that I wanted to say, which I've never said out loud to anybody before, is that when I was in high school, I went through an incident where I was a victim of sexual assault. I went to my deans and I went to my principal, and a lot of the questions that I got were, are you sure that you weren't drinking too much? Are you sure that you weren't, what clothes were you wearing that night? Did you walk there or did he carry you? Because if you walked there, it shows that you may not have been that drunk, and so you could have been willing in this. He was a football player, so the school made it very clear that they weren't gonna do anything. Now, to make it clear, I'm not from here. This did not happen anywhere around here. I'm okay now, but I'm also not, because I didn't have social media and I didn't have other people and I didn't have a community like this that was willing to come out and say, listen, we're here to listen to you. We're here to make you feel safe. So if I could say one thing to any victims that might see this, hear this, read this, just know that for me, I guess I wish now I knew what he was doing. I wish I knew where he was. I wish that I had the ability back then and the support to speak out. So I just want anybody listening to know that you won't be in that boat. We're all here listening now. And there were, 5 media stations here. So, I mean, when you feel safe, it's time to do something about this person. So, thank you.